Welcome to pre-recorded, I meant to say temporal distorted space couch. Call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for divanarchy and interface from a couch in space. Every now and then we get caught in these temporal distortion fields. We are, of course, speaking from our present. I mean, I don't know how we would do otherwise, but as you're hearing this, it is likely slightly in your past because time gets weird when you're this far out in deep space and or Boston. So, despite our place in the universe or multiverse or existence at large, we would not be here without our wonderful sponsors. Let's talk about new this week. It's Tiger Squawk Records sponsoring this episode. You want to check out Navigator from Duckbag TM. It's just so good. You also want to take a listen to Melting Rust Opera out of Germany, the most crazy industrial you'll ever hear. Brain Games, that is Massachusetts, is all Get Out Me and Big Time Kill the Nightcycles, the Gothicles versus Night Stop out of Finland. I think it's wonderful. Club Ovator, Victoria, BC, releases one heck of a remix disc. Amalgamated Cadaver, the Gothicles Go Noise. You also want to check out Emerging Eldritch out of Kansas City from Science Fiction, so good. Landscape Body Machine, back to Victoria, a legendary, now on Tiger Squawk. New for the Species Festival out of Ireland, will be playing in 2 weeks. Ethics of Tentacle Love from new signing, Dr. Lovecraft's Dating Sim. Distortion versus Tiger Squawk, the Ukrainian benefit still going strong. You can check that out. And the latest from Isserly, Full Bore Noise. It's so great. You want to check all that out at tigersquawkrecords.bandcamp.com. If I sound excited, it is because of the egregious amounts of coffee I've already ingested, but only partly because I am that pumped to talk to today's guest. Long overdue. I am such a fan. I hope I don't go into full gush mode. I've been pretty good lately, but this one might break me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, not the advertising reel, although you can welcome that at any time. Please welcome DEVO SPICE. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, man? Great to be here.
It's going really, really well. Just kicking it through space with coffee and
I have questions about the space couch because I've always wanted to go to space.
Right,
and, right. I love Star Trek, lifelong Star Trek fan. Where's the bathroom? Is there a bathroom on the space couch?
Well, we resequence the molecules, but not like they do on Enterprise, that one episode. We actually resequence them with MIDI. It's all so when people say we make shit music, we're literally resequencing shit. That's where the most.
Okay.
That's how the Gothicles got a new track like every 6 seconds. That is the only way I can follow your model, sir. Meaning, a lot of times they'll ask, like, "Hey, what's the last thing you had come out?" And people talk about an album that came out usually earlier that year. Or if it's like somebody like Attrition that we've had on the show, we'll talk about a classic album they released in the 80s. But you've got a new song every few minutes. You are so busy. So we'll start at the top. I got to take a step back. I got too excited. Comedy rap. Legend feels too small. Stalwart, mainstay, Easter Island head. It's never not been here.
Legend in my own mind.
Legend in your own Easter Head Island mind. Of comedy rap, and we'll get into all the facets of that D20 of your it's not even it's a D1,000.
I can proudly proclaim I am the most popular comedy rapper over 40 with a red beard in northern New Jersey.
All right, and we'll throw that claim out there, and it's been challenged before, but you know, Space Couch has got massive balls. There's no gravity out here in space, so our balls are gigantic. Second only to yours latest, just out a couple of days ago, released, still quarantined on one of your many masterworks, The Fump. We'll get into The Fump, but let's talk about the track, still quarantined, available now.
So I watched the Super Bowl as did many billions of people, and some of my favorite artists performed during the halftime show. I think this was the first time in my life I was looking forward to the halftime show.
Right.
So it was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and you know, a bunch of other people, and they did this, you know, classic Dr. Dre song called Still Dre, or Still DRE. I'm not sure how he says it. And you know, so I had that song bopping through my head, and you know, meanwhile, I've been working from home for 2 years.
Right.
And so I'm sitting in my basement. I'm like, yeah, I'm still quarantining in my basement from the outside. And I was like, all right, yeah, I can do this. And you know, the song just popped right out of me.
That's how you do it. Let's take a brief listen. Oh no, we're gonna die, crashing in the sun.
I look like a snow cone with my hair all dyed, and there's colors that I haven't tried. And besides, everything I could need is DoorDash supplied. Just have faith and Wi-Fi will provide. It's not a fluke, commuting stupid and weird. Why drive for an hour when my computer's right here? I'm still at it, it's more pragmatic. In my home, there's Wi-Fi with no tracking. Nice couches, good food, and no traffic.
Sorry about that. Let's actually make you a bit. We hit. Yeah, I know. We hit spatial distortion, as well as temporal. So that was a pretty
the gravitons through the deflector dish, and set up a neutrino pulse,
just
and
reverse tachyon pulses for days. It just knocks it right out, whatever it is.
Reverse the polarity, everything will be fine.
Right. It's the space sort of omens. Just takes care of all those problems. Yeah, I got a Thundercats reference in. Amazing. So, like, not only resting on that, you just did. I was about to say guest vocals, but it really pound for pound. Trade-off with this track you just did with Tim, our own Worm Quartet.
Yes.
Give me the backstory. You know what? Let's actually start with the clip. And this is going to be a little bit longer clip than we play on Space Couch, but I could not, like, for the sake of my own, like, heart, like, find a good cut spot on this until it kicks out of the chorus. It's so boiling lava hot.
Okay, look, I'm trying to be civilized.
And not allow my lyrics to be overly politicized.
Gets it weird and funny.
Gotta mix with introspection.
But it's hard to not admit
the Cincy-O-16 election is derision
and division,
building up to disdain
and alternatives to facts.
Convert from dumb to insane.
I'm getting louder,
growing cloud,
and outright
building to a shout.
Lots of lots of peace for untold years of work to learn about. And I guess you know it really shouldn't come as a surprise
that they're using social media to propagate their lies.
And I guess you know it really shouldn't be a revelation
that the tactics of practice attacks and smug denigration.
And I guess you know it really shouldn't come as a shocker
that the douches
just put us down,
shoved us in lockers,
left us bleeding,
and defeated,
feeling like our lives are needed,
kicking feet on the stage.
Cause who made it? We did. We brought your fired up to death so you could understand it, but now you think it's magic. You're taking us for granted. You use the very tech and clever, so we created this business cause it's trend source of everything we've ever stated.
No, we can reach it for years,
present their data in reams.
But if your mother's farmer's meth dealer sent you some memes,
despite the like or proof, they think it's just as valid as fact.
So now we're forming a pack.
We're gonna take a fighter back.
Okay, so we will give you all at home a second for your mind to recoagulate in your brain meat holder there. And so tell me about this track. How'd this come together?
So hit a little bit of history lesson first. Shoebox and I have worked together a lot over the years. We did a song together back when I used to work under the name Sudden Death called Inner Voice, where I did a rap and then he played the little voice in my head telling me what to do, and it was the #1 most requested song of 2005 on the Dr. Demento show.
#1 Dr. Demento, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Since then, we've done a lot of songs together. However, they've all been my songs. I have never been on a Worm Quartet
Interesting.
song.
Okay.
And in fact, one of Shoebox's albums, there's a bonus track at the end, which is me calling his voicemail saying, "Please, I want to be on your album." You know, and it was really funny. So finally, he comes up with a song that is too fast for him to perform by himself, and he's like, I need somebody else to trade the vocals off with me. And it was like, well, I know Devo can do it, and he's always wanted to be on a Worm Quartet song. So he emailed me about the song, and just we traded back and forth, and song was made, and we actually performed this song live up in Rochester, New York, a couple of months ago now, I guess it was.
Oh wow, okay.
He invited me up. He's like, "Hey, do you want to drive 5 hours to do half of one song?" I was like, "Sure, why not?"
Oh my god!
And then I weaseled my way onto the gig, so I actually got
cool,
15 minutes opening the show.
That's awesome, man. Because you're as no stranger, or as is well known to your fans, I should say, but you're in New Jersey, so you drove all the way to Rochester. I think Boston is somewhere, and that's where my terrestrial base is. I haven't quite figured out the lore of the show, but my terrestrial base is there. And the East Coast.
I think I'm actually right between you two, because I think Boston is about 5 hours.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we form some sort of like unholy comedic triangle, but
triple shot.
Yeah! But that track, so hot. Check it out. It is, as we just discussed, actually a Worm Quartet song. In name.
And that one, he just put out a new EP of 3 songs with that one, another song called Brandon, which he put on the Fump recently, and another short song called Pile of Stuff. And those are at wormquartet.bandcamp.com.
Awesome. Well, you set me up a little bit for the Fump there, because I want to get into that. Thank you. You're very good. It's almost like you do this all the time. But I do not want to bury the lead, because we talked a little bit about the show. Before the show, there might be some new DEVO Spice coming down the pike in terms of anything you could tell our listeners about an upcoming album.
I am hoping to have a new album out by Labor Day.
Oh, nice.
And my plan, and this isn't confirmed yet, my plan is to release it at Worldcon, which is taking place in Chicago over Labor Day weekend.
Are you playing it?
That's the part that's not confirmed yet.
But
it's like fairly certain that I'm going to be there, but it's not official yet.
That is sort of that con world of like, yo, we got to figure it out this weekend, because, we just got the email that the show is happening Friday or whatever it is. So, yes, you might see that in Chicago. Everybody loves Chicago. So check that out at Worldcon. It's going to be great. I mean, it's either way, this sounds like there's a new DEVO Spice album not too far down the line.
Yeah, the thing is, I've already released enough songs to put out an album, but I don't want to put out an album of just the stuff I've already released. So I'm working on new material, and I'm hoping to have it ready by around that time. If I get the gig at Worldcon, I will definitely make that my deadline. If not, it becomes a little more elastic, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
If you want a big Worldcon release party, and you have pull in that world, maybe send an email or two on behalf of our guest today. Okay, so many people, myself included, would sort of hang my hat proverbially for the rest of my life on, I hit number 1 for Dr. Demento for sort of dementia world, at least at the time. That's sort of the Billboard charts rough equivalent. So like you did it, right? That was your step 1 was like the goal for many people. What I'm alluding to here is that you went on to create, not only create, but curate and keep going for a long time, the Fump. For a niche market of people, I'm going to inject for a second. I know you want to jump in. To have it crystallized and, just the idea of novelty as a genre is almost self-contradictory, because novelty means it's a one-off thing, right?
Yeah.
But you found a way to consolidate and not just pull random shit like it's a fucking GeoCities ring from 1998 or something. Like, you created this community. So I need to know, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like it sort of came up naturally. Tell me about the genesis and the gestalt of the Fump.
Okay, so what happened was back in 2006, I had a gig at a convention in Pittsburgh, with Rob Balder and Jonathan Colton were also
Hell
performing
yeah.
there that weekend. And the three of us were on a panel together. Actually, Worm Quartet was there that weekend as well. But me, Rob, and Jonathan Colton were on a panel together, and I don't remember what the panel was about, but nobody showed up. So the three of us were just sitting there chatting for an hour.
That's amazing.
And, you know, at the time, Colton was doing his thing a week where he was, you know, writing a new song every week and posting it
Colton's
online
like
as a
boiling, just surface of the sun hot at this point.
Yeah. So, but this was when he was just
Oh,
coming
okay.
up.
This is prior to like Eat Your Brains and all that.
So this was like at the beginning of his
okay,
meteoric
you could
rise.
feel it. Right.
So he was putting out one song a week as a Creative Commons license, posting it on his website for his fans to download, and then he was building an audience that way, and then he was monetizing that audience. And Rob was a webcomics guy, and they do, you know, the free content model all the time. You make a webcomic, you put it online for free.
Give it away now.
And then you build an audience, and then you figure out how to monetize that audience. With webcomics, you have t-shirts and other merchandise, and you have print books of the comics and stuff, and there's things you can do. Rob was impressed that Jonathan had figured out how to do that with music, and that got his little gears spinning, and he reached out to Worm Quartet, and they reached out to Tom Smith and Luke Ski, and eventually me, because he knew that I had the skill set necessary to actually make this happen. So
yes,
I designed and programmed the website. I figured out the business model. I figured out, you know, the pricing scheme, and, you know, I run the day-to-day operations. I still do that. I still do the monthly accounting.
Hell yeah, you
daily
do.
Actually that you know we need to do. I'm in the process of putting together the Fump volume 92 right now. 92 is what we're up to. I have the other 91 up there on my shelf.
Emphasis on volume. These aren't single tracks. These are 20-track discs.
Anywhere from 17 to 20 tracks on a CD. We limit it to 20 because that's as many as I know will safely fit on a CD. Although we did get real close once. There was one time we almost didn't fit on the CD.
Amazing. I mean, you're wrangling maniacs. It's gonna happen.
Well, it was one of our like November, December compilations, and I think that was the year that, you know, Shoebox and Rob Balder as Baldbox put out like the Island of Recalled Toys, which is like 9 minutes long, and then Luke Ski put out like another one of his Christmas medleys, which is like another 9-minute track. And there was like another long track on the album. I'm like, there were 20 tracks on the compilation. I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna fit, but it just barely.
Well, this is kind of what I wanted to get into, because you occupy such a slim Venn diagram of dreamer and get shit done guy. Like,
well, the get shit done was a hard lesson learned.
Go on.
There's a backstory to that. The name of my company is FIDIM Interactive.
Yeah.
FIDIM. FIDIM stands for Fine, I'll Do It Myself.
Hell yeah.
So the way that happened was back in the 90s, I was working on a video game with a programmer. I didn't know how to program at the time. I was the artist. So I designed all the graphics. I came up with the gameplay and scoring mechanism and everything, and I handed it off to a programmer to develop. And it worked with him for like a year and a half or so. And as time went on and the game got closer to completion, the updates from him became fewer and farther between. And finally, I was like, okay, you just need to fix this one issue, and I think we're good to release it. And, you know, 3 months go by. He sends me another build, and it's got a showstopper bug in it. And the bug is, if you click outside of the game area, the whole computer
just
crashes.
That.
And I'm like, that's not a bug we can ship with. So I sent it back to him. I'm like, look, I'm sorry, we have to fix this. This is a showstopper. And I never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Like, and he never sent me the code. He only ever sent me compiled things. So I was like, I guess I'm learning.
Oh no. We must have hit an asteroid.
It's probably my internet, because my internet was recently purchased by Optimum, and they so.
Well, you know,
but anyway,
we are going to charge you billions of dollars to
now. So I taught myself how to program, and eventually I released the game. And
God,
the interesting part of that game was I licensed it to a publisher in Eastern Europe, so it was translated into Russian.
That's amazing. So you have this hard-won lesson. It becomes the name of the record label you start, because why wouldn't you start a record label?
Yeah.
And we'll get into that because that also fascinates me. But you didn't. It's not like you made it work in the past tense. You're making it work with this website maintenance and I forgot my password emails down to like this dude gets $27.07 and this guy gets $5.67. It's meticulously done. And I haven't even gotten to FumpFest yet, but where does this dedication to the craft, if that's what it is, come from? Is it like I need to just sort of gravitate towards this D&D support role, or?
I don't know. I don't know how to quit. I don't know when to quit. Part of it is this, just like I have this idea, I want to do the idea, and I don't stop until I do. And even if it sucks, I've done it. I have this like creative drive. Wherever I see something cool, I want to do it. Movies, music, art, whatever. If I see something really cool, I want to do that. And with the Fump, it started out so cool and so strong and was so much fun. And we've just kind of been plowing along ever since. It never, was the huge success we, especially Rob thought it was going to be, but it's still fun. We're still putting out great music and we're getting new artists on the site all the time. The song that's up right now is by a brand new artist. It's just, I don't know how to stop.
Well, I'll start with it. It makes me, I really have no other word for it. Sad that, Rob doesn't think it's a success.
Well, Rob's problem, and I've said this to his face, so it's not like I'm talking behind his back, is that he has huge, grandiose ideas.
Well, he's a genius, and
then when they don't quite work out, he kind of just stops and gives up. So
the ideas I have heard of his are of course amazing, but I front load that because I want to say, in a world where whatever space hay shows up and goes away in a second, the Fump has just been a rock 90, like there's superhero shows I probably won't ever see. That's how much content there is. And I love like comic book stuff with all my heart. It's just, there's only so many hours in the day. So the fact that you've never gone away, I take that back since its inception. And that's the Fump. Most artists don't predate the genre they're in. I would say that you fall into that category. We didn't have a word for dementia or nerdcore or whatever sort of little Bandcamp tag you want to throw on it.
Yeah, the nerdcore tag goes back to MC Frontalot. I think that was around early 2000s. I think he coined that term.
Heard it.
And I actually did a song where I sampled the NES when the NES was the current system.
Right.
Like when it was state of the art. Because it had RCA jacks on it.
I
jacked out and I plugged it into my 4-track. And I'm up there. I'm queued up the Adventures of Bayou Billy soundboard. It's one of the options. You could go in and just play the sounds.
Great.
So I'm sitting there sampling all the sounds in Bayou Billy. It was great.
Well, so you've been in the sort of the in TV, you would say you've been in front of the camera for a long time, moving to the back. So you're running this awesome website, and then you have the idea, and I'm sorry to it's not an interview so much as it is a retrospective, but there's so much ground to cover. You have the idea not only the idea, but the execution, and then that's the awesome part, to go like, let's take this into like not even a little show. We're gonna do a Fump Fest, big hotel. We'll get Dr. Demento. By the way, craziest ever. The pandemic's over-ish. We can play out live again. Guess we're opening for Dr. Demento on his 80th birthday. That was the coolest thing. Thanks so much for having us.
I'm actually wearing my FumpFest 27.
That's because you're the best. So you have this decision to do, let's do a show. And then where does that originate, and how does that kind of get into the world?
So we talked about doing an event like FumpFest pretty much right after the Fump launched, like 4 or 5 months after the Fump launched. It was like, hey, we should have our own convention. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm like, it's too much work. Nobody will show up. It'll be a disaster. So we just kind of, put that idea on the back burner for a while. And then in 2012, the great Luke Ski, who is another one of our Fump artists, good friend, did a Kickstarter because he needed money for a new laptop and like a sound system and stuff. And he reached his initial goal, which was, I think, like $1,500. And he set a ridiculous stretch goal, which was like $5,500. So he was trying to raise like another $4,000, like 400% over his original goal. And he said, if I reach this goal, I will throw Luke Ski Con, which will be a private event just for the people who backed the Kickstarter. So he did. And we did Luke Ski Con in 2013. And as he's planning it and as he's doing it, I'm thinking to myself, this would be a good dry run for a Fump convention.
Always got something going.
So it worked. Luke Ski Con was great. He kept it small. It was a 1-room event. And I was like, if we do FumpFest just like this, small 1-room event, keep it simple, it'll be fine. And then I got some volunteers involved. One volunteer got me this hotel that was like far more extravagant than I was expecting.
That was great.
The other volunteer reached out to Dr. Demento and said, hey, you want to be a guest? And I was like, okay, this is getting out of my hands now.
That's amazing.
But we did it. In 2014 was the first FumpFest. We had Dr. Demento as our guest of honor, and it was awesome.
Amazing.
2015, we had the Arrogant Worms. 2016 was Paul and Storm. 2017 was Henry Phillips. 2018 was the Four Postmen. 2019 was the Double Clicks. 2020 was a virtual online thing because everything was locked down, but we had the Consortium of Genius come in on the stream. And then in 2021, we had Dr. Demento again because it was the 50th anniversary of his show and his 80th birthday, and we wanted to celebrate.
That was amazing. So not only to you at home, please check out the FumpFest. Traditionally takes place in Wheeling, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. It's amazing. It's great. It's all your favorite novelty, we'll use that word for convenience, artists. You'll discover some great ones, wonder where they've been your whole life. I think that's kind of how comedy music works for a lot of people. Like they just tap into that vein and go like, this is mind-blowing, and then you find out, this has been here for thousands of years.
The problem with comedy is it's hard to market to because it's not a genre. I can't go out and target rap fans because not all of the rap fans are going to like what I do. Some of them will, but not all of them will. But most of my fans are not rap fans. They're not people who normally listen to rap music. They're people who listen to comedy in every genre, and those people are hard to find.
Yeah, we can go here for a second. It's sort of the inherent, so far as I see it, challenge of comedy music in terms of a joke's never so funny the first time you hear it, but the kind of the way we market music is you buy this and listen to it anytime you want, so it's this kind of defeating loop of recursion.
Well, the joke is never as funny again, but the music is still enjoyable, and for me at least, every time I hear Weird Al songs that I know like the back of my hand, it takes me back to the first time I heard them and I was laughing my ass off. I remember nearly passing out the first time I heard Smells Like Nirvana.
Oh, man. I had that going in my head as I was making that argument, and then you said it, and that was weird. Every time I hear, for some reason, You Will Get Roly-Poly in the Lasagna track, just having that innocent childhood belly laugh come back.
Lasagna is another one that killed me the first time I heard it because that is my grandmother.
Oh man,
my grandmother's Italian.
You're Italian.
She's actually told me you got to manja.
Oh, that's funny, man. And that La Bamba movie was just huge. our age, people our age remember it. I don't know if everybody in the audience is going to know it, but it was a giant movie at the time.
Yeah.
We have so much. I want to get I don't want to do just a drive-by on Fightem, but I want to, in case we don't get to it, say that all of you put together a giant show many times with A-list guests. You also run an amazing label. I have a few releases on there. Now that I run a record label, I can't begin to fathom how you are so consistent and great with your payouts down to the cent. That's it's not, and it's just awesome, man. I am so impressed. To say nothing of you having a giant full-time job and a father of three
kids, the oldest of whom just turned 18 the other day. So
Get
holy crap!
Out. How old is your youngest?
14.
No,
so 14, 16, 18.
I had him in the backing video of Konami Code as a baby.
Yep, you did. I was holding him up on my leg. Up, down, left, right.
So good. I kind of wanted to play with this idea because I ask a lot of people on this show if you could go back and tell your younger self something about music production or advice or touring or anything like that, would it be? And I wanted to a lot, and rightly so, I think it's focused on there, but I want to know what you might say to sort of like your middle self. Like you've had, let's say, one or two albums in or after that first hit of like, oh, people really dig this. I got Dr. Demento #1. Like, what do you say to that middle Tom? Or what wish you could have, now knowing what you have, the experience?
Yeah, it would be, this is something I've kind of just realized in the past year or so, is that everyone who's made it has kind of built off of somebody else who had already made it. You know, we wouldn't have Weird Al without the Dr. Demento show.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have the Dr. Demento show without the obscene Stephen Clean show back in the 1970s. So, you know, it's everybody building on somebody else who's already there, kind of. So my advice to my younger self would be find someone who can help you, really. You know, find some band to open for, find some band to tour with. You know, I'm doing that a bit now with Psycho Stick. I've been opening for them a lot. You know, but you know, that's the thing, you know, and I did that early on to a bit. You know, I sent songs to the Dr. Demento show from day one, you know, when I started in 1986. And, you know, awesome. It took him a while it took me a while to get something that was good enough for airplay, because that early stuff is a beast. Let me tell you. It's terrible.
I mean, you don't know what an EQ
you know,
is. What?
April of 1990, he played my first, you know, the first time I was aired on the show.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it was slow building up until 2002 when I guest vocaled on Luke's Ski Song that was #1 for the year. And then 2005, I had my own song #1 for the year. And then 2007, I was #1, #2, #4, and I was guest vocal on #5. So it was like the top 5 songs are pretty much me. The #3 song was a Fump song, so I can partially take credit for that one too. You know? So, and it's been, you know, that type. I've just kind of, you know, I'm doing my thing and just kind of going through the motions, really. And I'm coming up with all these ideas for things I want to do, but none of them are really like, what will this do to help my career, so to speak? It's always been like, hey, I have a great idea for a song. Let's do the song. And then I put it out and it's out, you know. I'm starting to think more bigger picture now. I'm starting to think like, what can I do to help my career, you know? Because
you've always struck me, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you've always sort of struck me as like this put one foot in front of the other kind of guy, and that's how you get the fump out of it, a working version, and not just this, you know.
The problem is if you don't know where you're going, you end up like walking kind of all over the place.
Talk to me about that. Like, what do you mean? Like, did you have a plan for the fump?
As Tom Smith once told me, Rob had us owning a small island in 2 years.
Ha!
Like
Cobra Commander shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'm gonna see if I can resync your video here. Give me 1 second, and we'll go back to. We'll do that. All right, cool.
Rob was literally following Jonathan Colton's plan.
Okay.
Of, you know. And we were following his trajectory of popularity, and then Colton kind of took off, and we just kind of stayed level. And, you know, and then, you know, Rob got disheartened by the project and kind of left. But we kept going because we still believe in it and we still think it's a lot of fun. And we know it's never going to make millions of dollars. I don't care. But, it would be nice if, instead of paying you, $25, now and then, it'd be nice if I could write you a check for $2,000 or $3,000,
Right.
And that should be possible if we can grow our audience to, a certain number. That, those numbers are not inconceivable.
Is that what you really? Okay. Because it's like, that's always sort of seemed to me to be a staple of the genre, is that you've sort of got to like find it out, and like, whatever it is, like Snoop Dogg will make, who knows, like a Star Trek reference every now and then, but like the sort of the action of seeking it is a lot of the appeal for a lot of people. Do you think that like this you want it? I mean, you would have to do a deal with like iTunes or something, or Apple Plus at that point, to get the number?
Well, I mean, our music is up there.
Okay, that's awesome, man.
On Spotify and everything, so people can find it. All the Fump albums are up
but
there.
I'm talking about, like, if you want to be writing me $3,000 checks every month,
we need more subscribers. Because our subscriber base, it has been growing over the past year, but it's been stagnant for a very long time.
Well, let's do a little bit of homework. Everybody's got to go to, give us that URL, why don't you?
Thefump.com, THEFUMP.com, short for the Funny Music Project.
And what do you get?
You get 2 free comedy songs every week. All the songs on the homepage are available as a free download. And then every Tuesday and Friday, we put up a new song. And then when they move to the archive, they get bumped off the homepage. And then we ask you for 99 cents. And then every 2 months, we put out a compilation album of the songs from the previous 2 months. And as I said, we're up to volume 92.
92. And these comedy tracks, like I'll do a little Fump catch-up session. That's kind of how I do it. And there's like the caliber you get, these wordplay, and even just the musicality of the song themselves is so acute. 99 cents is a criminally low thing to charge for such splendors. So you want to check out the Fump Fest, Fight 'em Interactive, Fine, I'll Do It Myself. We are on a rogue flight path out here in space, and we are kind of coming towards the end of our circuit. This, I don't know how much meat there's going to be on this bone, but talk to me about the importance, if any, of self-reliance as you see it, because you've been such a sort of self-powered, just nuclear engine of this indefatigable source of power. But it's all coming from you, and I want to know if that.
And I don't know where it comes from, to be honest. It's just, I learned early on it. People say if you want something done right, do it yourself. And the lesson I learned was if you want something done at all, you have to do it yourself. Yes. I've tried delegating, I've tried hiring people, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And, I'm not good at delegating. That's something I'm working on. Yeah. And I'm trying to find, the ways to do that so that I'm not so insanely busy. I did manage to delegate some stuff a few years ago. I kind of went through everything I did and I was like, okay, what can I pass off? Like I handed off the Manic Mondays editing to our friend C Monkey. I handed off the Fump Sideshow administration to one of our volunteers.
Chris does like sound or something like that live. Yeah.
Chris Mezzalesta of Power Salad does the sound at Fump Fest. I would not be able to do that myself.
Power Salad does the sound. That's how you know.
Power Salad does the sound.
That's how it sounds good.
And he does an amazing job with the sound at Fump Fest.
Power Salad.
Yeah. But with Fump Fest, I couldn't do everything myself, but even still, we ran Fump Fest with a group of like 6 or 7 volunteers. And I look at like Jessica Delfino, who runs the New York Funny Songs Fest. Last time she was planning a show, she had a picture of her and her volunteers. There were 25 people in that room. I'm like, you could use 25 people.
Yeah, well, it's tricky, and I think I'll inject myself a bit, but I don't think it's inappropriate, because I think the genre that we're in, as much as I'm in it, is sort of attracts these sort of cowboyish technology, cowboys of technology in terms of like I kind of can figure all this out myself, and I've been in your spot where it's like I don't want to like do all this myself. I wish the world existed where I absolutely trusted that this isn't going to get fucked up if I but like you know, round 25th time it happens. Shame on me. So well, that's interesting because I didn't think it would go this way. So it's not so much a self-reliance as almost a shyness to delegate.
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, I'm not good at a couple of things. And delegating is one, and like promotion and marketing are the other two big things I'm just not good at.
Okay.
Like I've tried, I've taken courses, I've read books, I've listened to all kinds of audiobooks, and I get it, I understand it. I just when I try to put that into practice, it doesn't work.
Interesting.
So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So that's the type of thing where like we need somebody at the FUMP to handle like marketing and promotion and just, you know, let them do it. Cause
well, that's another fascinating thing. Like even you did the work of learning how to do it and then recognizing that for me to do anything more in this arena is likely a sunken cost. Is it, you know, it's just not working as much as I wanted to is a giant skill. Does that come from like a day job kind of thing? I know you're in tech, obviously. Or is that, you know, now that your youngest is 14, is it coming from like, yo, if you eat that poison berry, you're going to die. Let's not screw around with it, you know. Or is it just common sense, just horse sense? That's awesome, man. This is a question we do a lot on Space Couch, but there is no way I'm going to let you go without at least starting to design DEVO SPICE, the video game.
I've actually done that.
Okay, tell me about your design for DEVO SPICE, the video game.
Okay, so I never released it because I never finished it, but maybe I should at some point. It was a side-scrolling platform game with me traveling the countryside of New Jersey.
Okay.
It was because it was right after I released my 7th album, which is called Fatal Accident Zone, which had a song on it called New Jersey Lifestyle. And so the idea was you had to go through these levels to find the other members of Sudden Death, my group at the time. There were, 4 other guys.
Didn't get into that, but yes, Sudden Death.
Damn near no work. I did 95% of the work anyway.
That is kind of, I'm finding the model of dementia.
Yeah.
At large,
so
Tom does 95% of the work.
For a long time, I tried to convince myself that I was part of a group, and it just
oh my God, I've been there, dude.
But yeah, the video game, it was a side-scrolling platform game with a little avatar of me that you controlled, running and jumping and throwing rubber chickens at your enemies. The enemies were like balding guys and wife beaters that kind of looked like a guy from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Sure,
I forgot the
Carl.
Character's name. Carl. I forgot what the other enemies were. It's been a while since I looked at this game. But yeah, and it was like really fluid and played really well.
Oh, you actually played it out. You programmed
it. Yeah,
wow.
I like well underway.
That's amazing.
And then I got to the point where I was like, well, the reason I'm making this game was to promote the album. And now it's like a year and a half after the album's been released. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm bothering with it. So I just kind of stopped working on it. You know,
amazing.
But maybe I'll revisit it in my spare time.
This will be
the one game I do want to make, and I have a couple of games in production right now because I am still doing
awesome.
But the one game I do want to make is a FUMP fighting video game, like Smash Brothers with FUMP characters.
Okay.
So like picture you and me squaring off in
I am moist.
Worm Quartet, and
we're gonna have to defumigate this chamber of the Space Couch because I am perspirating with joy at that prospect. I want to do just a really quick recognition of the fact that normally I do this question just so I can just throw out some like puns for an artist's song name or something. You actually programmed out the video game you already designed for this question. So that may be the best we've ever had this question answered. Not only that, it ended with the prospect of an upcoming fighting game for the wonderful artists of the Funny Music Project. I would like to make an official Space Couch suggestion that perhaps that could be suggestion/plug because perhaps that could be the original DEVO SPICE / Sudden Death video game could be offered to fans of your Patreon. Could you plug your Patreon once real quick before we go?
Yes, I do a podcast called Manic Mondays. Which
Of course
is
you do. I didn't even get to that. This guy's a machine, an octopus. I'm wearing the squid necklace, but you are the true octopus. Manic Mondays,
I've been
go.
doing Manic Mondays since 2005. It's like a 15-minute comedy show with, regular comedy segments like News of the Stupid and horrible movie reviews, things like that. And I started a Patreon a couple of years ago for it. It's at patreon.com/Manic Mondays. And it's a fun show. ManicMondays.net.
It's an amazing
Manic Monday show.
We're coming up on 20 years. 20 years. You want to check out Manic Mondays, the podcast. You want to check out the Fump. Subscribe. In a world that just takes and takes and takes, and you have Patreon Plus and Disney Plus, those prices aren't going down anytime soon. It's not like they're going to give you a break. You're not going to get a better deal on this planet, or your planet. I'm not on your planet. I'm out in space. On your planet, than the Fump. You want to attend Worldcon either way because it's going to be great, but let's hope we can get not only Devo Spice in person, but the ensuing album. Fightem Interactive only produces quality material, still quarantined, and Take the Fire Back. Available now. Speaking of fire, both of those tracks are electrically heated. Please come back to Space Couch anytime. I feel like we didn't even do a flyby. We did a flyby. Like we looked out of a plane window and was like, hey, that guy's doing a flyby.
Like a rock coming across the water. Like we just touched on a bunch of things.
We threw that rock well. So. I'm sure I'm the first person to ever make a pun off your last name. So that notwithstanding, though, this is all the time we have in this episode of Space Couch. We got to go like re-up on oxygen and stuff. So we're gonna punch out in a second. But you are officially welcome back anytime. This has been so fascinating. Do you have any final thoughts? I don't have a name for this segment. We'll call it Last Gas. Last Gas in Space.
Yeah. You can find me at devospice.com. All my stuff is on Spotify and Apple Music and all those good places. Fump is at thefump.com. And look me. I'm Devo Spice everywhere. I'm easy to find.
Yes. Used to be Sudden Death. Don't get confused. Same guy. If you hear a track that sounds like me howling about the dog from Duck Hunt, and it says Sudden Death, that is our guest. That is the same guy.
I actually just listened to that song this morning.
Nice, man. Nice. It didn't come. Well, that's why you got to come back. This is Brian for Space Couch for Devo Spice saying, call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for Div Anarchy and interface with a couch in space. And then I let us talk over the end credits here to Patreon. Gozer Games, our mutual friend, was new and responsive.
Cool. Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. And thank you for helping me name the ending segment. This is like episode 138 or 7, I think. I didn't have anything to call it the last part. So it is now officially Last Gas.
Last Gas.
It's Devo's Last Gas. Devo Spice's Last Gas.
Okay, sure.
People think I had Mark Mothersbaugh or something. But, such a good episode.